Well, happy Mother's Day. I just wanted to wish you all a happy Mother's Day and tell you how much we've been in prayer for you guys over this season. And I'm just thrilled that you've invited me into your home, that we can kind of share hopefully a note of encouragement for you today and lift your spirits as you go through this day. I do want to recognize, I know that Mother's Day sometimes is not a very happy day for some of you. Your life circumstances or your relationship with your mother or daughter or child may not be as wonderful as you had hoped. And so I do want to acknowledge that there are feelings about that. My hope in this message is to give you some encouragement as a woman, but also if there are men who are listening as well, that they could maybe gain some insight as to the emotional side of being a mother and to maybe understand a little bit more what we go through in our thought processes and how being a mother just absolutely changes your life. I was able to learn a lot of life lessons from my mom. I worked with her for a time, and she taught me how to be a preacher's wife. She taught me how to be a mother, a career woman, and most of all, she taught me how to love God more than anything else and to make Him the number one priority in my life. And for that, I am eternally grateful. So, but one of the lessons that she taught, I would sit at her feet and I would listen to her speak, because she was a women's pastor at her church, and she did a lot of public speaking. So before there was Beth Moore, before there was Christine Kane, there was Deanna Beecham. She was a very well sought after women's speaker, and we have even had the chance of going on retreats, women's retreats, and speaking together, and that was such a precious memory that I have. But I can remember sitting at her feet listening to her teach women about God, and there are just some certain messages that she would give to these women, and these are the ones that kind of stuck out to me. So the first one that I want to share with you, this little life lesson I learned from Mom, is that this too shall pass. And I think that that's really important as we go through this pandemic right now, for us to remember that this life that we're living right now will not always be this way. There will come a day when this will go away. But yet my hope in all of that is that we will never go back to the old way and go back to how life was, how we thought normal was. I'm hoping that from this pandemic, we're able to come away from here knowing that God is not in the past, but God is a God of the future, and He has greater things in store for us in the days ahead. He's already gone before us. He's already walked that path. So our days are better going forward than they have been in the past. But as a mom, I'm just thinking about you guys during this time, and I think you're probably doing more laundry than you've ever done. You're cooking dinner more than you ever have cooked dinner. You're probably running the dishwasher more than ever. Your life has just kind of been uprooted and totally changed, and you're busier than you've ever been. There was this one story that I heard about this young mom, and her husband kind of bragged a lot about how beautiful the house was whenever he came home from work, and how she had the dinner all prepared for him whenever he came home. The kids were finishing up their homework and getting ready for dinner, and how, their life was just what she just made his home life so wonderful and so great. And so one day he came home from work and he said, "Honey, the house is different. What is this?" And she had just let it go that day. She didn't work on any of it. And he said, "Wow, the house is different." And she said, "Yeah, every day you come home from work and you ask me every day, what did you do today? And you know what? Today I just didn't do it." And he was able to see the difference in all the stuff that she took on to do every single day, taking one day to not do it, how different life was. Because we work our butts off. We do. We try to make everything perfect for our families. And I can remember when I became a mother, how different my life changed. Before becoming a mom, I could go and do, and my life was my own schedule. I could do whatever I wanted to do, whenever I wanted to do it. I would, Keith and I could go on these great little trips together. We could just take off and go and not have a care in the world. But then when I became a mom, all of that changed. My schedule became dictated by a feeding schedule. And I had to make sure that, my times were all adjusted by the different schedules in Lacey's life and in Lane's life. And so my life was not my life anymore. I've told y'all before, this was a very stressful time for me spiritually as well, because I was worried every time I went to church. I was worried on whether or not my kids were crying in the nursery, or were they getting along with their friends in Bible study, and just thinking about all the things that could possibly, my thoughts were not focused and centered on God, because I was thinking about my kids being in another classroom. I tried several different Bible studies during that time to try to get myself back into the Word, and I was failing all the time. I would start one and then something would happen. I'd stop, and I'd start one and I'd never finish it. And so I kind of felt bad that my spiritual life was having to be put on hold. Hormonally, we change. I mean, physically, the physical changes are evident when you become a mom, but hormonally you change. You never are able to really look at a TV show or a Hallmark commercial or anything like that and not think, even the news, and not think, number one, probably hormones change and you're crying about it, but also you're thinking, that could be my child. When you see things that come on the news. So you're thinking, just your thought processes, your emotions are different. And so during that season of becoming a mom, I called it the phase of where my life's not all about me anymore. You have dependents, you have children, and you are sacrificially giving up a lot of yourself in order to love and care for other people. And you really do lose yourself in that season. But it will pass. I promise you it will pass. There will come a time when you will think, oh, if I could just have one more moment with them in my house, cooking their favorite meal, washing their laundry. There will come a time when you will wish for those days again, because it does pass by very, very quickly. One of the things that I think about is in Isaiah chapter 66, verse 13, it says, "As a mother comforts her child, so I will comfort you." It's in this motherhood stage that we realize the comfort of God. We realize what it feels like to hold that baby in our arms, to comfort them whenever they're crying, whenever they've skinned their knee or fallen down and they're running to you for comfort. That's what it feels like to be a mom. You're able to provide that comfort. Psalm 63, 6 and 7 says, "I think about you through the watches of the night because you are my help." For me, that is when I come to really know more about God. It is in the stillness of the night. It is in the watches of the night. That's when things are calm. They've kind of settled down. And I, like before I go to bed or whenever he wakes me up in the middle of the night with thoughts about him, and I'm able to kind of set my mind aside and really focus in on who he is. And just go through, the day and kind of go through the ways that he showed himself during the day. And so in the watches of the night, I realize that he's my help. But think about that as a mom. As a mom, when our children are babies, it's in the watches of the night that we seek God's help. It's when we wake up, because we never sleep with both eyes closed or both ears shut. We are always sleeping with one eye open, with one ear hearing that child. So in the middle of the night, when they get up, When the baby cries, we're the ones that get up and we rock that baby back to sleep. And the whole time we're praying, God, you are my help. Help me get through this. Help me know what to do for this baby. Help me to be able to be a parent for them, right? Help them to love you more than anything. It's in those watches of the night that we're able to know God more. Whenever you have teenagers, it's in the watches of the night that you realize that God is your help. I've never prayed more for my kids probably than when they were teenagers, because you're staying up late, you're staying up till midnight. The husband's probably already gone to bed because he's not as worried as you are. And you're staying up until midnight praying, God, get my child home safe. You are my help. Help them get home safely. Help them to love you more. Help them to find you, God, in the middle of their teenage years. So it's in that watches of the nighttime that we're able to find out that God is truly, truly our help. So those are just kind of some of my thoughts that I've learned from my mother. But I've also learned some other things, and I think I'll probably do these in another series at some point. But because I listened to her preach so many different lessons, the ones that have stuck out to me and just little snippets of what they were. She taught me to catch the joy as it flies. She taught me that I am fearfully and wonderfully made, and you are too. She taught me to ask the question, what are you doing for the rest of your life? And I love that song, number one, but I love that question. And I want to ask you that question. What are you doing for the rest of your life? Because if we come out of this pandemic unchanged, then we've missed the mark. I think about so many analogies of this virus as it deals with faith. Because right now we are all believing in an invisible enemy that can take our life. And I wonder, are you believing in an invisible friend that can give you abundant life and allow you to live an everlasting life? So think about your faith in that regards. You know, if I'm able to believe all of these things about COVID-19, and I'm believing, think about the things that we're doing. We're wiping down Dr. Pepper boxes. We're wiping down cereal boxes. We're wearing these masks and all these different things that we've changed our lives because there's an invisible enemy out there that can kill us. So think about that in regards to God. There is an invisible friend that will require you to have faith, and it will require you to change some of the things that you do in your life. Some practices, some habits, some things that will give you an abundant life here on earth, but will also give you an eternal life with Him in heaven. So what are you doing with the rest of your life? I hope you have a happy Mother's Day. I hope you don't have to lift a finger or do a thing. Now that things are opening back up, schedule that pedicure, schedule your manicure, get those roots done, and be safe and know that we love you. And y'all have a great and happy Mother's Day.